The job of every Jew is to continuously illuminate the world. Illuminating the world can be done in many ways. It can be done through prayer, it can be done through act of kindness, and it's also done through act of responsibility. The Tactical Rabbi has a passion for security. He utilized it to bring light to many synagogues.
Eyes and ears! The concept of a rabbi being hyperactive in the gun community is not something that's often heard of.
Antisemitism is on the rise. The climate is always either hotter or colder, but it always comes back to a point where it's hot.
Reload, fast, fast, fast!
Having people in the synagogue carry firearms is a debate.
One of the most mistaught verses of the Bible is, "Thou shalt not kill." And that's not the actual translation. It's "Thou shalt not murder." Judaism has a very specific set of rules. If it comes to a point where it's us or them, and we feel like we're going to get killed, you have an obligation to protect those around you, and you're allowed to kill. Of the many things that we offer at my company, we give active shooter courses. So we actually have an upcoming course that we're going to be giving a private lesson to a guy who's very interested in self-defense for his specific community. So we're going to keep the gun holsters for now, until we're actually at the range now that we're using ammo. My name is Raziel Cohen, and I am professionally known as the Tactical Rabbi. So I've had a passion for firearms for a very long time. I ultimately ended up getting my rabbinical ordination, and I opened up a business in firearms training, and the two kind of collaborated together into the Tactical Rabbi. So I grew up in an all-religious family, in a very religious community. My father was born in Iran, and my mother was born in Morocco. My grandfather was actually the chief rabbi of Morocco, and he ultimately had to flee from Morocco because he had an official death threat put against him while he was on his way home. A guy came and stabbed him in the eye, and he survived miraculously, like it was a knife right to his face. And right after that, the guy left him there and said, "I'm going to be back to finish you off." So they fled that night, in the middle of the night, ended up moving to the US where my parents met. But growing up in Los Angeles, I had a pretty comfortable life. I was raised in the Chabad Lubavitch community, and me turning into the Tactical Rabbi, I think, was something that developed over time. I had a passion for this since I was a kid. So I have pictures of myself dressed as an army man, because that was something that I wanted to be a part of. And then when I turned 18, being able to purchase my first firearm, then I started going through as many classes as I'd be able to attend to gain as much knowledge as I can in that field.
In Judaism, we have this concept of never being satisfied with where you are, always learning more.
So at least once a week, I try to connect with a friend of mine. We study some talks of the Rebbe, who's the leader of the Chabad movement. I felt that I wanted to become a rabbi more because I knew it was in my heritage. So being able to have just general knowledge on certain laws and certain rules in Judaism, and being able to know that for yourself, I think is very important. So we're starting with Yud Aleph, Hanukkah.
Yeah, actually Hanukkah is very close to what Rabbi Cohen does. There were a group of people in those times who took it upon themselves to defend themselves, thereby defending the Jewish population. They were outnumbered, and they said, "We're not going to let Judaism be obliterated, Jews to be obliterated." And thank God we're in America now, a place where everyone can believe what they want without being attacked for it. And that's something that we strive to maintain. We don't like violence. We don't resort to violence, but we have to protect ourselves, and we protect what we believe in.
So we're right now headed to a synagogue that we're going to do a security assessment for. And so I knew this rabbi for quite a while. He's a very, very nice guy. I believe he's either building a new part of the facility or adding to, I guess, the existing. Cameras are only a very small part of that, but that's usually where a lot of people like to start. So did you have all the cameras pulled up? Would be able to look at that? Awesome.
We're going to be adding on a new building. We're going to be coming from here.
Oh, got it.
This is going to be building until here, to this wall.
Yeah.
This is going to be ultimately a mikvah, but that's
wow.
further down the road.
Okay.
And that's going to have a whole separate security system.
What I'll do for today is I'll go through the perimeter, and then security systems, cameras, and then also for the internal systems for like the active shooter protocol for the kids programs, as well as also what we're going to do inside the main shul.
Unfortunately, anti-Semitism is on a rise. With what happened in the last few years with the shooting in Pittsburgh and San Diego, and just recently in the yeshiva in Denver, it's something that requires leadership to be focused and not to live with their head in the sand and ignore the realities out there.
I've definitely seen over the past few years a rise in those style of attacks. We've seen attacks on mosques, we've seen attacks on churches, we've seen attacks on synagogues and schools, and it's a huge epidemic.
The old school of thought is just to ignore it and nobody's going to bother a religious organization or a synagogue or a church, God forbid, has unfortunately proven to be incorrect. At the same time, having people in the synagogue carry firearms is a debate. The Torah doesn't say, commandment number 246, thou shalt hire a security guard, but the Torah does tell you to use the resources that are out there, and if you don't, you're lacking in leadership skills.
Moving up. Our active shooter class is probably of the most popular classes that we offer, and that's really when we see a huge variety of different people. We've had security officers, law enforcement, rabbis, we had priests, we had just regular average day Joes that are coming through the course. Okay, so you know how this drill works. We're gonna go through it again, right? 5 rounds left side, 5 rounds right side, 3 rounds center. You go at your own pace, okay? So I'll demo it really quick. Going hot. We're going to be starting off with fundamentals and being able to understand the basic usage and handling of a firearm, all the way escalating to being within an active shooting and being within an environment that you're being shoved around or you're being pushed around. Your stance is very important because if we're talking about dealing with an active shooting, you're gonna get hit by someone or something. Threat! Guarantee impact zone! Reload, 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 fast, fast, fast! Guarantee impacts only! When you move, make sure your finger's off the trigger. We don't want an accident discharge. I'm not a medical professional, but part of the way that the course is structured is that you give someone a taste of what it's like that if you have an arm bleeding, what are you able to do to make sure that you're still effective in the use of a firearm? Faster, faster. Kneel, kneel. Okay, reholster. You're currently using the Israeli style method. I want you to try the American style method. As long as you're impacting the target, I don't care. That's really what it comes down to. So I want to draw the gun, point at the target.
I'm from New York. I grew up in a Jewish Orthodox home. I actually found the Tactical Rabbi on Instagram. That's where I hooked up with him at first. I did have prior experience with other trainers, but I feel like Raziel has been giving me a lot that I haven't gotten from others.
Deep breath out. Fire. Finger off the trigger. Excellent shot. Excellent shot. Perfect shot.
I don't think you could have been a nicer shot than that.
That's pretty soft.
When I train with the Tactical Rabbi, I definitely feel like it's more than just coming to a formal training. I feel like he's actually giving me his heart, not just his thoughts. In a way, it's kind of a very therapeutic. You literally have to forget about everything else in your life, and you're just training now. You just have your target in front of you. The streets of New York and anywhere I go publicly, it's a very common thing that I'll have people say anti-Semitic things, either shout them or sometimes it's just muttering under their breath. That's not something uncommon, and unfortunately something that I actually got used to. Antisemitism is always on the rise. The climate is always either hotter or colder, but it always comes back to a point where it's hot. And that's just Jewish history that just proves itself over and over again over the past few thousand years. I believe that was 2 years ago. During a Hanukkah celebration, there was a guy that came in with a machete and started attacking people. And the end result, he actually ended up killing one of the congregants of that synagogue.
So Hanukkah, we have this menorah. We take a physical object. We take a candle, we take oil, we take a wick. And the second we light it, it becomes something spiritual. Light, a flame, is not something that is physical the same way a table and chair are. It lights up the place around it. It has an effect, an ability, a power that most physical objects don't have. If we all do that, if we all light up our menorahs, if we all light up our lives and those around us, imagine what that could do. Like, we could light up the world. That's powerful, that's big.
There are different mindsets of people saying that if you truly believe in God, why would you carry a gun to defend yourself? You're like, well, God should be able to protect you. You don't believe that he's able to protect you?
It's not a contradiction. We're tasked with what we have to do, but we're still open to miracles. We don't rely on them. We do our part, but we're open for God's help.
Skirting your responsibility is not a productive way of bringing light to the world. If you have a skill set that can enhance people's experience in Judaism and you don't do that, you're not using your God-given talent to illuminate the world. The Tactical Rabbi has a passion for it. He didn't ignore that passion. He utilized it to bring light to many synagogues, to allow many people to come into synagogue and pray comfortably without worry. That is, in a sense, the idea of illuminating the world in his way.